Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michelle Brown with Leading Educators with your Week 4, Day 19 Distance Learning lesson. So, in every lesson, there are a few things that you can expect to see. A list of the resources that you're going to need for the lesson, a quick overview of the learning, a little modeling of some of the reading, thinking, speaking, and writing that the lesson requires, and a preview of the learning for upcoming lessons. Yesterday, we continued our close reading and talked about facts versus opinions. Today, we'll focus our reading on examining GDP and indicators of health. It's also time for you to take a step back and celebrate another awesome week of learning. I hope you've enjoyed tackling this article together so far. Always remember to share your learning, complete the weekly fluency activity, and do at least 20 minutes of additional reading in the text of your choice after completing the lesson activities for the day. Now, it is time for our riddle of the day. Today, we'll be doing another pictogram puzzle. Like yesterday, I'll give you some quiet time to look at this image and think about the word or phrase that it represents. I'll give you 15 seconds to think about it before I show you the answer. Okay. I hope you're ready. If you're not ready, you can pause the video and keep thinking and trying to figure out what it is, but I'm about to reveal the answer. Read between the lines, right? We've got the word read. Above it, we've got 3 lines. Below it, we have 3 lines. So we're reading between the lines. I love this for lots of reasons. One, I'm an English teacher and it's about reading, so that's great. But also, this is exactly what we have to do when we're reading complex texts. And we keep going back to the text and back to the text again and again, partially to give ourselves a chance to really read between the lines and to find all of that meaning in the text. Okay, now that your brains are all warm, let's make sure you have everything that you need for this lesson. First, you'll need lesson 19, that's on page 57 of your packet. You'll need the note catcher, that's on page 58, the actual text that we're reading, that's on pages 45 through 48, and of course, something to write with. Let's refresh our memory of what we're focusing on this week. We're continuing our study of the Quality of Life Indicators article with these 2 guiding questions in mind. What is needed in order for each of us to have a good quality of life? And how is our life's destiny determined by the quality of our lives? And here's our learning target for today. We can read it together. I can reread specific portions of the text to gain a better understanding of new concepts and draw conclusions to analyze complex text. Today you'll start by rereading a section of the text to determine the health indicators that are usually considered in quality of life evaluations. Then we'll move into learning more about gross domestic product, or GDP, and sharing our learning with someone we know. And finally, you'll actually be writing throughout the lesson to help you organize your thoughts and your understanding about our new concepts. Let's get started with our close reading activity. I'd like you to reread paragraphs 10 through 13 and to mark the health indicators that are taken into account when evaluating quality of life. Then, complete the quick write activity on your note catcher. For the quick write activity, you're going to be answering this question. What health indicators are considered when determining people's quality of life? Are there other health issues that you think should be added to consideration? Pause the video and complete this now. Welcome back. Now that you've had a chance to think about those health indicators, we're going to move on to thinking about gross domestic product, or GDP. As the article states, national governments like to use economic indicators to evaluate quality of life, and GDP is one that is commonly used. Pause the video and reread paragraph 7. As you read, mark the parts that add to your understanding of GDP. Pause the video now. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what I marked and review the concept with you. It's okay if you mark slightly different things, but wanting to make sure that you've got a sense of how I approach the text. So everything in blue is what I I underlined on this reading of the text. Gross domestic product, GDP, measures all of a country's goods and services. It calculates how much they all cost. This is an estimate of how wealthy that country is. A higher GDP doesn't necessarily mean people are happier. GDP does not tell the whole story about the quality of life. So just focusing on those parts that I underline, a couple of things really stand out to me. First, GDP is the value of all goods, products, and services made within a country during a specific period of time. The greater the value, the wealthier the country is. I also learned that it doesn't really matter if the goal of the product or the service is to make people happier or if the product is good for society. It still counts towards making the country wealthier and therefore increasing the GDP. I also learned that it's really important that we take other factors into account when we're evaluating the quality of life. Now that you hopefully have a better understanding of GDP, you'll spend the rest of the lesson thinking, talking, and writing about it. First, think of the way that the GDP, gross domestic product, is determined by a country's wealth, but that it still doesn't translate into happiness for every person living in that country. So what are some of the reasons the article gives for why a country with a high GDP might still have unhappy people? Next, I'd like you to think about everything you've learned about GDP today through reading, thinking, and watching this video, and share your definition of GDP with a friend, family member, or caregiver. Finally, you'll complete your daily writing task on the bottom half of your note catcher by answering the following question. How does the text support the idea that even though a country is wealthy or rich, it doesn't mean that all the people are happy or have a good quality of life? Remember, you'll want to cite text evidence in your answer. The reading, thinking, and talking that you've done today should really help you form your response. Before you go off and finish your lesson, though, let me leave you with a few quick reminders. If you get stuck and you need some help, you can always reach out directly to your English teacher via email using the format seen here. In our next lesson, we're going to continue our analysis of this text by thinking about the main idea and looking closely at the photograph from the first page of the article.